And a mighty fine yeehaw to you! Here we are, coming back for our second series of the evening. Well, afternoon if you're actually at the event, but evening over here on this side of the world. We're going to continue our TVPs. We are in a pre-qualifying match here between Kelazhur and Creator, kicking it down on Site Delta. We're in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, starting all the way in the bottom right. We have our red Terran player coming down from to represent the land of Brazil, representing his team R8 Esports. We have Kelazhur.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss, representing Club NV. It is Creator. Yeehaw! Beautiful.
That one's for you, chicken man.
Este pollito, papi, este pollito. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Just wrapped up our first series of the day with Kelazhur versus Riser, and the TVPs continue as we dive into our second matchup of the night. But here now, some of the heavier hitters are facing up.
Yeah, indeed. Already, Kelazhur and Creator, I think, are players who we would normally expect to make it out of the open bracket, to make it at the very least to the knockout stage. Unfortunately, there are also other players in this particular group who we also expect to make it out of the open bracket. So yeah, it is going to be brutal, and we are just about going to begin some of the more close cuts, I should say.
Oh yeah, we're here to just sink our teeth into this and determine who advances on into the next round to face off against one of the other big Terrans in the group, whether it's Gumiho, Future, or Ryung, yet to be determined. But for now, we're settling in. Kelazhur does start things off with an eBay block on the low ground. It will delay the expansion here of Creator, so a nice start for Kelazhur. He's following this up with a double. Oh, sorry. I was also almost about to say double gas open. It's going to be racks into factory. Now, if you remember, in the previous patch, it was very common to follow this up with Cyclone production, but the Cyclone has since been nerfed, so I'm curious where Kelazhur takes us this time.
Oh. Yeah, every now and then, yeah, there we go. We do see a safety Cyclone or two, mostly for defense against any early game shenanigans coming out from a Protoss player. Maybe catch a pylon that's somewhere in the middle of the map, and that is the direction Kelazhur is going for. He's actually opening up very, very safe here, getting his CC on the high ground, so I'm not sure what it is about Creator specifically that's got Kelazhur spooked, but yeah, he is just being very cautious this time.
Yeah, I mean, the eBay block also delayed his own follow-up as well, and he barely has an army, so if he tried to get the CC on the low ground, it most likely would have been delayed by that Adept, but now we have our defensive Cyclone, going to be able to bully it back, going to be able to gain map control, and we're going to be settling not into additional Cyclones behind this, but working towards what looks to be a pseudo mine drop here, just with some scouting information, potentially even some aggression as we're building up quite a marine count.
Yeah, this was a Reaperless build coming out from Kelazhur. It's partially why he was able to gather enough gas to get his Cyclone without it impacting the 1-1-1 too much. Did go for a reactor afterwards, though, so like you said, is continuing to pump out the marine count, so something a little bit reminiscent to game number 1 that we saw in Kelazhur versus Riser, where he was going for a bit of an earlier push. Triple mine drop coming out from Kelazhur. He wants damage to be dealt.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit more committed from our red Terran player. Meanwhile, back at home, a very safe opener. It is going to be a Twilight Council into Blink build here by Creator. We have 1 gateway in the main base, and we have 2 gateways in production at the natural, so it's going to be 3 gate Blink from Creator.
Yeah, very safe opening, but also a very versatile one. I mean, we saw Phoenixes coming out from Riser, and that was a very safe opening for him. But one where he wasn't quite able to do too much. I mean, he got a couple of SCVs here and there, but wasn't able to do too much while transitioning to Colossus. With Stalkers, on the other hand, you can be a lot more active on the map.
You can, but as Stalkers move out, the Widowmines, they move in. So far, good reaction out of Creator. It looks like only a couple of probes going to be going down on the low ground. Meanwhile, 2 more Widowmines have yet to really reveal themselves. 1 probe does fall.
Nope. Yeah, that's only 1 so far. 2 probes so far. Creator not quite quick enough to take out the second mine before burrowing.
Yeah, and in the end, Kelazhur, he does dip behind the mineral line. Now, there are 2 winner mines left. They can always go back in. They do pose a threat to Creator, so he has to be very careful with his movement. As we can see, it was a triple gate opener, and we are expanding, taking a 3rd base. So again, just a bit of a safer build here. Bit of a delayed expansion because of the 3 gate, but Creator just working towards the mid game.
Yeah, he does delay that 3rd by a little bit, but on the flip side, because he was able to get these additional stalkers, he also hasn't taken too much damage from the mine drop. And again, this was a more dedicated drop coming out from Kelazhur. This wasn't just meant to get scouting information, and it hasn't quite scouted the Robo Bay yet either. This is a drop that's meant to deal damage.
Okay, there we go. And yeah, from here, we're going to be just settling into our game. The Bay is now finishing up, so Creator working towards Robo production, towards that Colossus, and really, yeah, settling into his 3-base setup here. Meanwhile, looks like we are also being notified in the chat that that Creator is actually no longer on Club NV.
Oh, interesting. I'll have to update that pretty soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for letting us know. We'll make sure that we introduce Creator to be on the correct team when we can. Meanwhile, Widowmine Drop is going to be coming back in. Oh!
And nice dodges coming out from Creator. Once again, not taking too much damage. Great blink with the Stalkers, not taking any additional damage here. Will lose a couple of probes to the Auto-Tart Harass. But as Raven is now out of energy, it is going to be deflected. Creator still going to maintain a slight worker lead and is going to be ahead when it comes to the base count once again.
Yeah, Kelazhur is working on a 3rd CC, so it's not going to be a 2-base all-in. We're working on eventually that 3rd base. Stim, I believe, is done, and instead of moving out and going for a big push, we are going for drop play. Double drop here on the right-hand side. The Adept, ooh, I believe barely may have caught a glimpse of it. You can see Creator is repositioning here at the 3rd base location. There's a probe in position to take a 4th, and the drop is going to be shown.
Yeah, Stim did finish up, no combat shields just yet, but this is also a very naked Colossus. Great force fields coming out from Creator, though. Going to be able to completely block out those Marines. Stalkers in the main base. Going to try to get some damage done. It's a battle of juggling, and it looks like Kelazhur was doing well until he, just kind of ran out of health.
Yeah, ran out of HP.
He was doing well until he wasn't, you know?
I mean, the juggling was solid, but you could only juggle for so long as both the medevac and the tank go down across the map. At the same time, double drop doesn't get much done. We do see the auto turret coming in once again, and we are getting a couple of probe kills here and there, but that was a brutal loss from Kelazhur. Bleeding out tanks, bleeding out medevacs, and the double drop just did not get enough done.
Yeah, not yet, anyway. As we are still building up that army count here for Kelazhur. He does have a pretty potent army with Marauders. All of his units have Stim. He has Combat Shield now, so yeah, a little bit of a multi-prong. A well-placed multi-prong, or well-timed multi-prong, I should say, can absolutely do wonders. A little bit too idle here with this drop. We'll be losing a couple of Marines somewhat unnecessarily, but hey, there's still, I would say, enough Marines here to take out a couple of probes or act as a bit of a distraction while the main army gets to work.
Yeah, and we have to distract because we're up to 3 Colossus. We have reached critical mass. The drop is going to be coming in, and Creator out of position. The Robo. Oh.
Yeah, very good pickoffs here. Depowers 2 gateways and is able to take out the Robo. That's a lot of production for Creator here. That's going to be halted. Now, very clutch recall will deflect this drop for now, or will deflect that push for now, but Kelazhur, doing Kelazhur things, is setting up for multi-prongs.
Yeah, we have another drop here on the right-hand side. Now, Creator's in position. He's here at the 3rd base, not too far away from the 4th, so even though the 4th is looking a bit exposed, and the army is not too far away, the drop is going to be deflected, and Creator is keeping up. Did end up losing some of his production, but he is keeping up with the army, and Creator, he is stabilizing here and settling into a 4-base economy.
Like so. Still hasn't taken too much economic damage. I would say not enough economic damage here.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, Kelazhur, he's been committing quite a lot here to these drops, and he's been getting some damage, but it's still not quite enough to give him the lead that he's been hoping for. This is still up in the air here. We're now commencing Viking production. We have a Ghost Academy on the way for those Ghosts, but we don't have them yet. And Creator is soon going to be moving out, not just with Colossus, but also with Archons, with Charge Lots, with quite an army.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage of the game, it all comes down to positioning. Moves like this from Kelazhur, being able to pick off so many Stalkers in the middle of the map, that is a huge pick-off, and that is going to be super advantageous for him as when we get to the eventual push and when we get to the eventual main army engagement. But there's still plenty of time for both of our players to continue building up and continue to try to out-tech each other.
Yeah, Shift B, if you want to have a look at the trade there, that was 5 Stalkers for 2 Marauders, a Marine, and a Viking, so a very worthwhile trade there for Kelazhur. Meanwhile, the armies are passing by each other. We have Kelazhur pushing towards the left-hand side. We have Creator moving out towards the right instead. Now, Kelazhur does have some army to defend back at home, but I don't think it's going to be enough to deal with the entire force of Creator.
Yeah, I mean, we're going for a base trade. Going for a full base trade. Kelazhur trying to take out that 5th base, and Creator knows he has momentum, knows that there aren't enough defenses, so he's going to take that out. Kelazhur going to turn around and try to catch this army. Creator is splitting up his army a little bit. His Colossus are a bit exposed, so there might be a chance here for Kelazhur, but he's already taken so much damage. I don't see him recovering from this position. He has to not only win this engagement, he also has to be able to push and keep pushing with the army that he has.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, if we could maybe catch Creator with his army fragmented and segmented, then maybe we could win this, but Creator, he pulls himself together. He brings everything back together, consolidates his army. He's not too far away with those Colossus. He can engage, does encounter the army. 31 SCVs have already gone down. Zealous, they bust into the natural as well, and Creator, he's ready for a fight. He's ready for a big moment like this, and Kelazhur, he just doesn't have enough.
No, he does not. Oh, but a Warp Prism is going to get caught. That's going to hinder the sustainability of this army by a lot. Good force fields coming out from Creator to try to funnel that, but that's still a lot of Terran to deal with. A couple of Colossus going to go down in recall.
Yeah, I mean, Kelazhur's pretty all in. Like, he's got 35 SCVs. Like, he doesn't have an economy. There's no sustain, there's no economy. Time is on a Creator's side. He's going to have a shield battery. He's going to have overcharge, stack defense as well to defend. Kelazhur, he has to end the game with this push.
And there is a possibility here. I mean, I'm just looking at his third base, but there's no shield batteries here. One of them just about to be thrown down, another one very exposed. Creator needs to rely on these Purification Novas, and he gets a juicy connection.
Yeah, very juicy connection there. Another Nova going to be on with 2 more Novas connect. GG gets called as we come in for a surround, and Creator will take game number 1.
Wow. That was some of the fastest shooting I've seen in the West here, coming out from Creator's Purification Novas. Sometimes it only takes 1. In this case, it took 3, and he got all 3 of them.
Oh yeah, all 3 Novas did connect. There was maybe a chance there for Kelazhur, as we mentioned, like he was up in army supply. You know, there's a lot of potential with a bio army like that, but pushing into Disruptors, pushing into Purification Novas is never an easy thing to do, and yeah, Creator able to come out on top there in game 1.
Yeah, just about. GG. Very solid defense coming out from him throughout most of that game. Only losing a handful of probes here and there to the harass from Kelazhur, and this was a build from Kelazhur that was meant to deal a lot more damage a little bit earlier on as we moved into the eventual timing push. Kelazhur wasn't quite able to do that, wasn't quite able to really slow down the tech progression here from Creator, so he was eventually able to get into his Colossus, he was eventually able to get into his Gateway Explosion, and from there, had a bit of an easier time defending against Kelazhur's timing attack, and then had an even easier time counterattacking.
Yeah, exactly. It was such an unfortunate moment for Kelazhur, right, where he had moved out, and just as Creator had moved in, and we entered that kind of pseudo base trade. As we saw, Kelazhur did end up turning back around, and unfortunately, he just didn't really have much to save back at home at that time. And to be fair, even if we did commit to a base trade, like Creator, he could always recall back home, and did feel like Creator did initiate that base trade first as well, so a lot of damage was already dealt.
Yeah, definitely. By the time we got to the end of that base trade, you know, you mentioned it, Kelazhur was already all in. He had to end the game then and there, and I really thought that there was a chance if Kelazhur, you know, had the most perfect EMPs, was somehow able to catch the army in the middle of the map. I mean, in Creator's retreat, when he was forced to recall, Kelazhur was able to almost reset the Colossus count. He took out 2 of them. By the time Kelazhur got to the opposite side of the map. Creator was working with one Disruptor, one Colossus. It took him a little bit longer to get his additional Disruptors into the front lines, but that one juicy Purification Nova halted so much of Kelazhur's momentum that by the time Creator came in with his additional Disruptors, there really wasn't much that Kelazhur could do there. So GG, very well done here from Creator. And I have a feeling we're going to see a very different dynamic here, at least coming up from Kelazhur, as we load into game number 2 on Alkyone.
Yeah, I would assume so, as we're diving into that second game and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alkyone, we have our Brazilian Terran player, the Red Terran representing R8 Esports. It is Kelazhur.
And over here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkyone, we have a blue Protoss player coming out from the land of Korea. He's going to be representing Blacklist International, I believe. We have Creator.
Here we go.
Go on. I was a little bit uncertain with that because I did see that Blacklist International was in parentheses. So I thought, wait, is Blacklist International not the name of a team and actually just, ND8 or something? But no, it is a team name.
Yeah, it is.
Can gather.
It is a team name. I was curious about them. So a big shout out to Creator to find a new team. I know that Club NV are very passionate and they were, of course, supporting Creator for a very long time. But I also know that they were always kind of promoting, the fact that they're open to, their players are open to joining new teams and getting more support. Just because Club NV support was a little bit more limited. So yeah, they were always championing, either Creator or DRG or Nightmare or all these ex-players to join new teams.
Yeah. It's part of why we did form the Club NV X Duckling show matches. And I'm glad that a lot of the players who were featured in there, players like Creator, players like Shin, have been able to find new teams and have been able to get a lot more opportunities coming into ESL Masters Spring.
Definitely. I was just quickly looking into Blacklist International. Apparently they're a Southeast Asian esports team.
Yeah, Filipino.
Yeah, apparently. Apparently they kind of cut their teeth in PUBG and in Call of Duty and Apex.
Yeah. I googled Blacklist International, and before I found out where they're based, I knew immediately they were Southeast Asian because the very first result that came up was Mobile Legends Wikipedia.
Yeah.
that is huge here. That game is huge here.
Yeah,
for some reason.
Maybe Ender is maybe aware of this team as well and maybe has some ties to them. Potentially.
Potentially. Never know.
But for now, we're getting into our openers. This time, a much more economic opener from Kelazhur. There's no eBay block. There's no additional factory follow-up. It is going to be racks expand into a factory instead. So much more economic this time here from Kelazhur.
Yeah, it definitely makes a lot more sense on Alkyone. It is a much, much larger map, and it is a map that I think does lend itself pretty well to Kelazhur's traditional playstyle when it comes to TVP. I mean, we saw a little bit of it earlier in the series against Riser, and even in that previous game against Creator, the Kelazhur who is just dedicated to multi-prong attacks and really stretching his opponent's attention. So yeah, this makes a lot of sense coming out from him to try to go for a bit of a longer game, at the very least keep it going into the mid-game.
Yeah, I would hope so. As Reaper comes in, 2 probes go down, we get a full scout of the natural as well, we get eyes on the tech, and Blink is on the way, and this is going to be the same opener as Game 1. Creator is going for not 2-gate Blink, but 3-gate Blink.
He is. Yeah, with Robo backing that up, so again, this also makes sense for Creator. If it ain't broke, don't break it. Don't try to change anything, so he is going to be working on that very versatile, safe defensive opening. Kelazhur got up to 3 Raxes before a starport.
Well, even more than that, that is a 3rd CC. It's almost done, by the way. So before these Raxes were thrown down, it was a Rax expanded to factory into 3rd CC. A very fast base here, very unorthodox by Kelazhur, very greedy from our Terran player. It looks like he does want to just skyrocket ahead in the mid game here and, yeah, take a much more economic approach this time.
Still playing it safe, still throwing down bunkers in that natural. There is a point in this game here, in this Terran build, where, like you said, everything's just going to shoot up. The supply, the army supply, is just going to shoot all the way up. It's basically the Terran equivalent of going for a gateway explosion. And when that hits, I worry that Creator won't quite have what he needs to defend against it, won't quite have enough Colossus, won't quite have the upgrades that he needs, but it does look like he's going to be a little bit more active this time as well as, yeah, Templar Archives about to finish up. Warp Prism now on the way.
I mean, this Templar Archives is a big moment here for Creator. It means that even though Creator is moving out with that Prism, we're thinking further ahead and we're going to be skipping some warp ins here. We're working on further tech. This should be leading to an expansion. There it is, third base is on the way. So again, this move out from Creator isn't too aggressive. Kelazhur was getting ready for the worst. You can see here, like a line of defense with bunkers and tanks and a tank in the main base as well. So Kelazhur is ready for aggression. And we can see that Creator won't be able to punish Kelazhur too much. Like, Kelazhur should be okay against this.
Yeah, normally I would say this might be a bit of an overreaction from the Terran player, but Kelazhur is getting his production, is getting his tech. Cyclone in the main will be taken out. Stalker is trying to harass just outside of tank range, but will be deflected in the end by all this bio.
Yeah, and even though, like, you could argue that maybe Kelazhur did maybe over-prepare, at the same time, he didn't know, right? Didn't know that we're rushing into Storm of all things. There could have been another fourth gateway behind this, and Creator could have just committed that much harder. Instead, Creator, as we can see, is taking and expanding, and Kelazhur will eventually break out. For now, though, the Stalkers are still being a nuisance, and we do get an SCV.
Not too bad. Delays the missile turret by a little while. And best case scenario here for Creator is for Kelazhur to end up deciding not to send an SCV to continue building that missile turret, have a bit of an easier time coming in with his Stalkers like so.
Yeah, speaking of, 5 SCVs go down in total. Not bad here from Creator, and he's buying time. And what is building up here behind this? High Templar. High Templar, they're warped in. Storm is already done. Like, we got a very fast Storm here for Creator, and we're backing up that energy, getting ready for an eventual push. We have a gateway being proxied across the map. Third base getting up and running. Gateway explosion here for Creator, and soon, like, this is going to be a pretty interesting timing from our Protoss player, as here come those High Templar.
Yeah, very interesting timing. I mean, Kelazhur obviously still working towards that push. Because of the delayed starport, he's going to be waiting a little while to get medevacs out, but when they do come out, it's going to align pretty well with concussive shells, with 1-1, so it's still going to be a very powerful timing. On the other hand, Creator going to be defending with High Templar and charge lots, which is not really something that you see too much in this dynamic. Storms can be a very efficient way to defend, but I feel like they're not as reliable as Colossus.
You say defending, this is going to be a brutal push. This is a crisp timing here. Charge just finished. We have 4 High Templar, full of energy, by the way, and the goal here is to break this position. Creator bringing everything here together here. That is so many Zealots as well. Kelazhur, the last thing he wants to do right now is unsiege. He does spot the Stalkers at least. He's dealing with the proxy gateway. The gateway is going to be going down, but here we go. Creator getting ready to dive in.
Indeed, he is. Even sending out a hallucinated Archon to try to scout ahead. Does confirm that there are tanks, but also confirms that there's not too much bio in this position. That was a huge explosion. I believe the Warp Prism went down to a Widow Mine, but at the same time we had a Storm going down.
Yeah, Storm did go off. The tanks go completely reset. As you mentioned, Kelazhur was out of position with his bio army, but he does arrive. He forces it back, and Creator, he did bleed out a lot of his High Templar in that Prism, only down to 1.
Only 1. It doesn't have that much energy on it. The rest of these High Templar have to be warped in from the other side of the map and coming down. Kelazhur is setting up a little bit of a surround. He does have to be careful about the Storm potential. But if this Protoss army does get sandwiched, that is going to spell disaster for Creator.
Yeah, Creator, he did rebuild that Prism, does load in those High Templar. Storm jumping on top of the army. Massive storms here on the bio of Kelazhur, and he has to retreat. And again, he lost the backbone of his army earlier. It was brutal for him to lose all 3 of those tanks. And now we do see that Kelazhur is still stuck here on this 3-base setup. Creator expanding, taking a 4th, chilling back at home.
making the most of this push. Not quite able to break Kelazhur, as you said, but does confirm his map control, or solidifies his map control, and so he's going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and from here he's going to have to retreat. Again, Kelazhur killing that Prism earlier was just a massive win for him, and it allowed him to deal with most of the storms, at least, to hold the line. We can see Creator taking up into a bay. That's going to be for Colossus production to diversify his splash damage, as he does skirt around the edge here, trying to sneak up on Kelazhur. Oh!
Nice storm. Going to be able to take out a little chunk of the Bio army. Perhaps a little bit of an overextension by Creator, though, but he is going to be able to retreat just at the end here.
Whew. Yeah, he does end up backing off in the end. Kelazhur has held, working on his own 4th base, and with this hold, now we have Ghosts on the way. We have no Vikings yet, no reason to invest, just Marines, Marauders, and Ghost production 4th base on the way, and Kelazhur, he's maxed.
Indeed, he is. He has a fully maxed out army, and it's a terrifying Terran army to deal with, especially when you don't quite have your diversified, when you don't quite have your multiple forms of splash damage. We're getting Disruptors now, which isn't a bad idea, considering the amount of Marauders that there are on the ground.
Yeah, not a bad idea. I mean, it's a risky move for Creator, but he knows he's a little bit vulnerable because he's only relying on Storms. And Storms, they're very hit and miss. But we've been hitting more often than not here, as that was a brutal storm earlier on the main army. Creator still being very active with those High Templar as he's building up that Disruptor gun. How many do we have? We have 3 Disruptors so far, soon to be 5.
Soon to be 5, and yeah, it's only going to be 5 as now Creator is going to be maxed out as well. We have 2 maxed out armies. Maxed out Terran army and a maxed out Protoss army. It's all going to come down to these Ghosts.
It is going to come down to those Ghosts, come down to those EMPs as well. Kelazhur moving out 3-3 on the horizon here for our Terran player Creator. His upgrades have been delayed because of that storm timing earlier. We were relying so much on it. And again, it did not kill Kelazhur. It was designed to. We're diving on in. Good EMP, but we do miss High Templar.
Oh. That we do. We still have a lot of Ghosts in the back line with plenty of energy, though. And EMPs are good, but they're not great against Disruptors. All of the Ghosts are starting to clump up.
They are clumping up.
Kelazhur will be able to evade the Purification Novas.
Yeah, Widow Mines went down, but the Ghosts are still standing strong. The base itself taking a lot of hits. It's going down.
Yeah, it's going to have to go down at this point. Creator being very patient with these Purification Novas. Storm will connect with the main army. That doesn't really do too much. Kelazhur setting up for a massive Doom drop into the main.
Yeah, we dropped into the main base, and Creator out of position right now. No recall whatsoever. Racing back into the main base. The production is under fire. The Storms!
Yeah, still a couple of Storms left in the chamber. Were able to catch basically the entirety of this army. Creator might have been able to trap Kelazhur in this main base, but he's also losing a lot of production.
Yeah, production going down. Nova goes off, does connect with the main army, and Kelazhur has to get the hell out of here. Didn't trade too poorly, took down the Prism, and you can see Kelazhur just rallying across the map. He wants to try to break Creator here and now. Disruptor goes down. Once again, Creator trying to keep up with the movement here of Kelazhur.
Yeah, and Kelazhur still has momentum, as you were mentioning. He still has his economy back home. He still has his production, and he's keeping this parade push going. Purification Novas not quite getting the connections that they need here. And all of a sudden, Creator is on the back foot.
Yeah, that was some half-decent connections, but as you mentioned, Kelazhur still has a supply lead. The gold base getting up and running behind this as well. The production, the economy does not stop, does not slow down for Kelazhur. And remember, Creator lost the base. He lost the base, is now down in workers, trying to expand desperately here towards the top left. But can he get it up and running? Because Kelazhur is going to be the first to remax.
Indeed, he is. Once again, Creator just took so much damage when it came to his production structures earlier on. Losing a lot of gateways, losing a robo, if I'm not mistaken. He needs a little bit more time to recover, and that's something that Kelazhur is going to try to avoid doing as much as possible. Decent connection, managing to get 2 Ghosts.
We do get both Ghosts. We dive into the natural base. We have reinforcements on the way behind this. Nova going to be going off, and it will connect, forcing the pickup.
Does force that pickup, and there's still a Terran army here. As Creator's army supply isn't looking terrible, but he doesn't have a very mobile army. It's not enough of an army to really split, and to really split up and try to match the movement here of Kelazhur.
Yeah, it's a bit of a kitchen sink of an army. We have Immortal, we have Arco, we have Storm, we have DTs. Drop coming back into the main base. Once again, Creator missing the drop, missing the main army, and we could even deny +3.
We are not quite able to do so yet. A lot of DTs being warped in to defend. +3 attack is going to be denied. Very nicely done here from Kelazhur. Plenty of scans still available to him. These ETs are doing nothing. And across the map, this is Creator's Hail Mary. He needs this push to get damage.
Oh, he needs to, and he is trading well here with his disruptors, but at the same time we're running out of steam. Storm going to be connecting here with the Marauders. Liberator raiding down on the main army. We're down to only a handful, just almost pure Immortal with the main army of Creator.
Yeah, we just don't have enough anti-air to deal with these Liberators. The Liberators, I would normally say, are doing a really good job of zoning away this army, but instead they're just killing the ground army.
They're not zoning, they're killing. Freedom has arrived and nothing shoots up. We have to recall back home. And Creator, he's hurting right now. He is in a world of hurt. He's mainly focusing, or mainly has Immortals to work with. The drops are finally being cleaned up. But Creator needs time. And Kelazhur, he's not slowing down, not with the gold base.
Not with the gold base, not with all of his production still intact. Once again, Creator lost half of his gateways, half of everything here in the main. He desperately needs time, as you said, to try to rebuild and try to re-max his army.
He needs that time. Liberators have been spotted. We are going to be trying to harass here across the map. At least the fresh bases have been confirmed, so Kelazhur, he's aware of where he needs to focus his harassment, but Liberator does go down, so does the other. So far, this harassment has been not too successful. Oh!
Not yet, but yeah, now that these bases have been scouted, Creator's going to have a much more difficult time moving his units between these bases. Creator, with a little bit of a force, going to try to get something done here. This army from Kelazhur isn't looking too big, but for Planetary Fortress support, maybe he can get something.
Oh, I mean, we're mowing through the Marines, but nothing else shoots up. The Liberation Zones, they zone away the army once again. We're down to 4 Stalkers. EMP does connect, and Creator cannot break through. He also pulled the boys with that. 22 probes went down.
Yeah, 22 probes went down, and not all of it was to liberate and harass.
Yeah, it was not, as we have Liberation Zones just taking control of both mining bases of Creator, and here comes the Freedom on the main army. It looks like Kelazhur is going to be forcing the ace match. GG gets called. Kelazhur ties us up 1-1.
Oh boy. Yet another breathtaking match. Breathtaking? That's not really the word to use. But that was a very close match. That was a very high, fast-paced match. A lot of back and forth going down. I felt like what was going on, what I was able to see, was much quicker than what I was able to say.
Yeah, it was a very high-octane game there between both Kelazhur and Creator. Very high pace, as you were saying. Again, Creator was banking a lot on his Storm timing, as we mentioned. And remember, he reset the tank count, but he wasn't able to kill. Like, the goal there was straight up kill Kelazhur. He wasn't able to, and from that moment, he was kind of in an awkward position, rushing into Disruptors, wasn't able to use Colossus until the very end, but Kelazhur had momentum on his side. He was so aggressive, so in the face of Creator, and giving him a really hard time defending back at home. Like, the drop play and the pushes of Kelazhur were insane.
Yeah, they absolutely were. That was Kelazhur making full use of the fact that he had mobility on his side, while Creator didn't at all whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we had a couple of recalls here and there, but again, they were on cooldown for a lot of the time, so we saw Creator just having such a difficult time there keeping up with the pace of Kelazhur. And now we're going into the ace match. Game 3 is going to be on Oceanborn.
Here we go. Nice standard map to conclude everything.
Yes, we are going to be leading into one of the more standard maps. Has been around for a little bit longer, you know, like Site Delta, like Alcyone. I mean, yeah, we have some more standard maps so far. Standard vetoes, I should say. No Dynasty this time.
Yeah. The Dynasty, well, I was going to say no gold bases, but Diego took care of, Kelazhur took the gold bases on Alcyone.
did take it in the end. And now we're diving into the final game of this series.
Indeed, we are ace match spawning in on Oceanborn, where we're here in the top left-hand corner map, starting all the way in. The top left, we have our red Terran player coming down from the land of Brazil. He is, of course, going to be representing R8 Esports. We have Kelazhur.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player representing his new team, a Blacklist International. It is Creator.
It's almost insane to me after what we've witnessed so far that neither of these players are going to be qualifying yet, and one of them is going to go down to an elimination match after this.
Yeah, it's such a brutal format, right? It's just such a brutal setting here in the open stage. To see such high caliber players already bow out is brutal. But I mean, that's how competitive StarCraft is here. You know, you have so many strong players, but only so few can, you know, make a deep run.
Yeah, there can be only one.
Can be
that
only
wins.
One.
But it's 1v1, you know?
Yeah, that's how 1v1 works. Only one wins. Crazy.
Math.
That is math. Good job, Yako.
Yeah.
As we do see Creator initially just scouting the the linear third base to make sure that there was no crazy proxy. Once again, Kelazhur going for an economic opener, going for a racked expand. We'll keep an eye on the third CC timing to see if we go for another insanely fast third base. Remember, that was the other big thing about that last game. It wasn't just that Kelazhur defended, but remember, he also cut corners and he snowballed out of control in the mid game after such a greedy build after that fast third CC.
Yeah, that was that spike we were talking about when it comes to army supply. Or when it comes to production. Creator, on the other hand, I'm just keeping my eye on the minimap, because I see a couple of probes here and there going to corners of the map. I wouldn't rule it out for Creator to go for a little bit of a cheeky proxy in the ace match, but yeah, so far he is signaling that, his build anyway, is signaling that things are going to be somewhat normal.
So we're going for a Twilight Council opener. Dark Shrine builds are not unheard of in this matchup, or DT openers I should say. There's potential for a proxy Dark Shrine even, as odd as that sounds. I'm curious if that's what we're thinking here with this proxy pylon.
I feel like that's what it's got to be at this point.
I mean, the Twilight Council just not finishing up. Up, there it is!
There we go. Dark Shrine going to be coming out here as an opener for Creator. He has shown a propensity towards them in our previous map, but that was when we got into the mid game. That was eventually to round off his army. This is Creator right off the bat saying, I want to bamboozle you.
Yes. I mean, a big thing about this build here, you may be thinking, wait, DT openers, is that good against Terran? Don't they have scans? They do, but because DT openers are so uncommon, chances are we're going to be muling, right? We're not going to be holding on to scans. The Hellion is going to be scouting, and we do not check. We don't know him checking, but again, like, we should be muling. We shouldn't really be holding on to energy, so these DTs can still actually get damage done here. A surprising amount of damage done as well, so we'll see if Kelazhur can piece this together. We'll see if he's able to scout as we're going for Adepts as well. Glaives.
That
is
might
this just for
be
show?
a fake out.
Yeah, I feel like this is just for show, right? Like, we're not going to commit.
Just cancel,
yeah.
Creator. Very sneaky this time.
Yeah, he reveals. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Kelazhur did dip into the main base, and you know, might be scratching his head a little bit. Might be sensing something is off because there was only one gateway, and there was no tech in the main either, apart from that Twilight Council.
Yeah, as we're actually morphing in the Archon. I wonder what the tell was, because, I mean, there's no turret, there's no detection, there's no scan either, so there was potential here for DT harass, but it looks like instead we're going for Archon harass, as the Prism is on the way. I feel like there was an opportunity for some damage here, and we're maybe second-guessing ourselves a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely agree, but we'll see. This may be an Archon plus DT harass. Yeah, maybe a bit of a multi. Yeah, it looks like Creator wants to go for a little bit of a multi-prong. DT is still going to be sneaking into that natural base. Kelazhur does scout the Shimmer, and he has enough energy for one scan.
Does that one scan? We drop into the main base, go for the tank, but we have the repairs, and Kelazhur does hold, and this is a little bit scary. I don't know if you noticed, but very similar build to the previous one that we just had. Kelazhur went for a third CC. I believe this CC was done or was being built before these two Raxes. So once again, a greedy economic build here from Kelazhur. Creator just now finishing up his own third, whereas Kelazhur is keeping pace with the bases of the Protoss. Oh, the prison.
And the Warp Prism will get locked on, but will not quite get taken out. A couple of DTs try to sneak in once again, but we still had scan energy.
Yeah, the scans turrets are finishing up as well. And that Creator, he has confirmed he has eyes on the third CC, so he knows how greedy Kelazhur has been, he knows how economic he's been, and he also knows how much pressure there is on a Creator to get more damage done, because so far it's not been enough.
Yeah, he was able to finish up his own third, so he is keeping pace, but that's hardly going to be enough when you're the Protoss player in a PvT. Is able to force his orbital command back somehow.
Yeah, I think that's maybe Kelazhur overreacting a little bit here. Like, I do think he can expand, and I think he just wants to be a little bit more comfortable here. There we go, he's going for his third base. Just moving out with his army, making sure that his third CC won't be disrupted here by the army.
Like so, yeah. Still a couple of angles that Creator can try to chip away at that base, and he was trying to, but instead decides to dip straight into the main. Might be able to pick up a unit or two.
Yeah, he threatens the turret, threatens the main base, but Kelazhur's in position. Kelazhur does defend. Back at home, Creator is transitioning into Blink, into his Forge for +1, and into his Robo production as Colossi are on the way for Creator. But again, this DT opener did set him behind. Blink is delayed as a result. The upgrades in general are later than they otherwise should be for Creator, so he has some catching up to do.
Yeah, we have some catching up to do, but Kelazhur is trying to limit that time, or try to limit the time that Creator has as much as possible. 1-1 about to finish up. He already has Stim. He already has combat shields. He wants to hit this timing sooner rather than later. Almost able to pick up the tank, but not quite. Good on Kelazhur to keep it alive.
Yeah, barely does survive there, turning back around. It's going to be topped up here by the SCVs. And as you mentioned, with 1-1 finishing, I'm waiting for the timing of Kelazhur as his medevacs are now online. He can go for some drop play. It's going to be on Kelazhur to avoid these Blink Stalkers as they are marauding around the map, looking for those drops. And we can see that Kelazhur is still teching, by the way. He's not slowing down. Ghost production is on the horizon.
Yeah, he already sees what the potential next step for Creator is here. Either through High Templar or even just Charged Archon. Either way, EMPs are going to be super valuable for him going on, so he just wants to make sure that even if he does go for this timing, he'll have what he needs to go into round 2 if he's unable to end the game here.
Yeah, the Observer does confirm the army, so Creator's getting in position. We have 2 Colossus, we have force fields available with these sentries. Stalkers and Zealots are amassing as we speak. Charge is finishing up in 10 seconds, just in time for this fight. Oh, and we'll see if we can hold on here as Kelazhur goes for the Stim.
Does go for the Stim. Colossus are looking a little bit naked. Second shield battery does finish up. We still have that overcharge available. Now it's just been popped. It's a little bit premature as Kelazhur is more than willing to just wait this out.
Yeah, just barely out of range of that shield battery. Overcharge is running out as we speak. Colossus coming in though with that drop. And can we break this Marine line? It looks like we can. The Colossus, they do a little bit too much, and Kelazhur has to back off.
Like so. Kelazhur going to be regrouping, going to be getting ready for round 2. This time with Ghost. Wasn't quite able to break Creator. Really good on Creator to not only defend his economy, but also be able to keep his high-tech units, his Colossus alive.
Yeah, every Colossus did survive. We're up to 3. That's critical mass. We're working now on Immortal production. We do see that Kelazhur is coming in with the second wave, this time with EMPs.
Yeah, and that's going to be very useful in this engagement. We do have critical mass here for Creator. Critical mass of Colossus, but they're not all lumped together. They're not all grouped up.
They're not, but now they are, and Kelazhur doesn't go for the dive. He will retreat, doesn't risk it as he moves out. We do have some tanks that were left idle here. They were left on their own. Hopefully they can make it back home, though, as now it's time for Creator to move out.
Yeah, looking to sandwich his army in the middle of the map. Stalker's in the back line. Gonna try to blink on top of these medevacs. Able to pick off one, able to pick off two. Huge chunks of the army going down for Kelazhur for free. And all of a sudden, Creator is about to max out. He's got so much momentum on his side.
Yeah, Creator, he's maxed out. Triple Colossus, maxed out as well. Kelazhur, he is in a world of hurt right now. Can he try to hold on? I mean, the tanks are in a good position. He can maybe pull the boys as well. 4CC is under fire. As Kelazhur, it's now his turn to need time here to just build up an army to try to hold on.
Yeah, he just needs more. He needs more to be able to defend. Creator trying to set up a surround. And he's gonna get it.
Yeah, he shuts down the tanks.
Stalker's gonna be able to deal with the Vikings. He shuts down the tanks, as you said, and the backbone of the Terran army has fallen, and everything else is going down.
Yeah, the boys are being pulled, but it's too little too late. GG gets called as Creator snowballs out of control, and we'll take the series 2-1.
GG, very well played. I was not ready for this high octane this early on, Light, but it just goes to show how competitive the open bracket still is, just how brutal and intense it gets. This wasn't even a qualifying match yet.
Not even a qualifying match, and it still went to the ace match, still went down to the wire there as well. There were moments for both players, but congratulations to Creator as he advances on. As you mentioned, thankfully, there is still that lower half of the bracket here. Thankfully, there is a bit of a safety net for Kelazhur. He's still in the tournament, still has another chance in the lower brackets.
Indeed, he does, but it's... yeah, just because it's a lower bracket, it's not going to get any easier from here, as, yeah, we are just starting to thin out, starting to get some of the more difficult players, I believe. Oof. I believe Kelazhur might be going up against Ryung? Wait.
Future.
Future, okay, there we go. Math, man. But yeah, he is going to go up against Future, who is still a very terrifying opponent, and is still one of the best Terran players from the Americas region. So, like we said, Kelazhur's still in this, but it's still going to be tough.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy for Kelazhur. Wishing the best of luck in the lower half of the bracket. Meanwhile, !B in the chat to get a link to the Wikipedia page. As we have some updates, Gumiho took down Ryung 2-0. I should back up a little bit. Ryung 2-0'd Future, Gumiho 2-0'd Ryung. And up next is Gumiho versus Creator in the upper bracket final.
TVPs, they keep on coming. And this is going to be a qualifying match, so yeah, the winner of this series is going to advance to the knockout bracket. The loser of the series will be going down to the lower bracket final.
There we go. So we have our essentially qualifying match, as you were saying. I believe we should be covering this, but I will confirm that. Otherwise, yeah, again, that was a wild series here. We glossed over it, but Ryung has also been knocked down to that lower bracket. Despite being a TVT sniper, Gumiho got the better of Ryung here tonight.
Well, that's the thing, right? Ryung is a TVT sniper, but Gumiho's not exactly a Terran player.
Yeah. You raised a good point. You do raise a good point there. You know, Gumiho is a very unorthodox player and typically does things his own way. So, yeah, he can be quite a tricky player to go up against in every matchup, by the way. He's crazy. And I'm looking forward to this. So we casted Gumiho versus Showtime in a best of 5 2 weeks ago in Stars War 11. Gumiho played mech.
And that was very...
in that TVP.
He did. He played mech in TVP.
Yeah.
And was able to come out on top.
Oh yeah. So Gumiho, he's very much a wild card.
Yeah, it was a close match regardless, but still. That was absolutely wild to see, and potentially something that we're going to see repeated? Question mark? It's, you know, still going to be a TVP here. Creator, definitely a bit of a different player than Showtime. For one, as we just saw in his series against Kelazhur, is not necessarily as committed to defensive play, but we'll see. We shall see indeed.
We shall. Until then, we're going to be going on a short break. There's not many other updates to really go over. I guess Future did 2-0 Mars Bar, so Mars Bar has been eliminated from the tournament. And I guess there are some updates in the lower half, in bracket B.
Yeah, there are. Rogue, I guess, pretty expectedly did defeat Showdown and will be advancing to that qualifying match. But, important to note, Showdown did take a map off of Rogue.
Oh yeah, Showdown went to the ace match, which is, again, really impressive stuff out of Showdown. Like, I'm really looking forward to see, like, where he goes from here and how far he can make it. I mean, I say that, like, he's now in the lower bracket, so it's going to be a little bit harder for him, but to go to the ace match against Rogue is impressive.
Definitely. So he's going to be facing Mixu in that lower bracket of Group B. Mixu did take out Zane 2-0. So yeah, the ZVPs just keep on coming in Group B. And winner of that will most likely be facing... Well, I guess it's a little too early to call. Solar is up 1-0 in his series against Mana, and Laser is up 1-0 in his series against Skillus. So yeah, it might be Skillus, it might be Solar from the looks of things right now, but still a little bit too early to call.
Yeah. Wish them all the best of luck there in the lower half of the bracket. I imagine Steadfast is in Laser versus Skillus, so he's got you covered there. Again, we're going to be going on that short break, and when we return, we should have Gumiho versus Creator.
Indeed, so stay tuned for that.